What up, aliens? This video is a recorded presentation from TRNSCND 2024 in Fredericksburg, Virginia. If you like what you hear, please be sure to support the creators. Their information will be in the description below. And if you're interested in purchasing tickets for TRNSCND 2025 in Fredericksburg, Virginia, that information can be found in the links in our description as well. Please enjoy this presentation.
What's up, everybody? Okay, cool. Here we go. So there's a lot of problems in the world. You have all sorts of things going on. Whether it's, you can list them. Somebody list a problem in the world right now. Poverty, world hunger. You can think of issues like war, issues like, whether it's gender dysphoria or the educational system, the things that might be affecting your children or the people around you, the sort of ideas that corrupt the world. Now, there's so many problems in the world. My bad, I'm moving forward. Now, then there's pride, right? There's problems in our hearts. So we have global issues, corruption, subjects of abortion, like 11% increase in abortion. It was like 1.3 million children killed in a year, or gender dysphoria, kids not knowing whether they a male or a female. These are serious problems that are corrupting the world. And at a room level, we have pride. Where there's corruption, there's bitterness. We might lack forgiveness for one another. All sorts of issues at that level. And then in myself, I have myself who I have my own struggles, as we all do, with might be a lack of boldness, might be a lack of faith, it might be doubt in the Lord, these different issues. So within all these problems, what is the cure? So I put this equation together for y'all. Is God's truth plus God's spirit equals the cure. Now, this is really this is the equation to solve all problems. You know what I'm saying? This is like the equation everybody needs. Now, we can't go into God's spirit right now because God gonna do what he do according to his timing, but we can talk about how art contributes to God's truth. So let's get into it. So we're gonna talk about the war, right? Let me get my notes up real quick. Okay, boom. The war, right? The war on ideas is really what I'm gonna talk about, and the war on belief, because truth has to do with what you believe to be true. And it really begins in the spiritual realm with Satan deceiving a third of the angels. Satan, he convinced these people not to believe in God. It's a statement, don't believe in God. And then you have in the garden, what did he say to Eve? God said this, don't believe in God. And to this day, that's what we see every day. It's a battle to believe in God's truth. Again, God's truth plus God's spirit equals the cure. So we're going to talk about believing in God, right? And also how art can help us believe God's truth. So hit this real quick. Boom. It's a war on ideas, humans and angels, etc. And there's many roles on the battlefield. When we talk about what you believe, what people believe, let's give a shout out to the parents. Where all the parents at? Right? These are the most influential people on who the next generation, on what the next generation believes in. There's nobody more influential on belief in the next generation than these people, right? These are vital. It starts in the home, right? So, we could talk about art, but if we talk about the war, it's going to begin in the household. And second, we're going to talk about teachers and educators. Very important aspect of influence on the next generation on us, because there's a such thing as an appeal to authority, right? When somebody's in a superior place, they hold a position of authority, we sort of succumb to what they tell us to believe in. Then you have your pastors and your preachers. And then in the fourth area, I'm going to put Christian art. And it's sort of in this abstract realm of influence, right? Now, as we get into that, okay, so boom, you got the Christian artists. And within this war, let's call it a battlefield. Everybody plays their role, from the parents to the pastors to the artists, and every role that there is in ministry. And we are fighting a war of, what do you believe in? And reinforcing, the defenders are saying, and really the educators and the parents are saying, yo, let me encourage you in the word. Let me encourage you in the walk. And in the same way, artists can do, yo, let me encourage you in the walk. Let me refine your faith. Let me strengthen your faith. Art for edification, right? But then you have art on the offensive, right? These are people who use art to critique the evil ways of thinking, who use art to subvert the ideas of the enemy, right? And this is the offensive usage of art and the topic of war. And really, that's the central idea here of what I'm speaking on is art as a weapon for the Lord, right? And it's also art as a shield for the children. You know what I'm saying? And how can we actively use our gifts to be most effective in those areas? So, oh yeah, Christian art is not mundane because we are people who believe it. Therefore, be like Christ, right? We're supposed to be like Christ, or Christ says, therefore, be perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. We're people who are predicated upon doing the impossible. We're called to be like Jesus, which is like, come on, like raise your hand if you've been like Jesus perfectly, right? We ain't done it, but that's what we strive to do daily. Therefore, to strive for God's truth or to be a Christian artist and to be a Christian in general, to generalize this, is the most challenging and thrilling thing you could possibly do because it's easy to believe in the lie. Your flesh is leaning you towards the lie. And it's a lot less work to just believe in the lie, but to stand on the truth, when everything is coming against the truth of God, and for you to stand there firm and say, no, we go this way. It's very difficult. It comes with a lot of suffering, but there's nothing more important than us to pick up the responsibility of fighting the fight. Now, let's get into story. Let's talk about how you can use story to criticize false ideas. Somebody, just name a problem. Somebody out there. Hey, I heard something. Lust? Okay, boom. Let's talk about the subject of lust. I actually have a piece of art that addressed this problem. But there's many aspects and many ways you can approach this, whether it's in the musical art form and the literary art form and poetry. You can use all of these things to address an issue and allow people to view it in a very tragic thing. Imagine a narrative of a man dealing with lust, and you saw, let's say, I would think first in terms of my approach to art is how to subvert the idea of lust, meaning what do people believe about, intimacy, to speak very soberly, and what do people believe about intimacy, and what is the sort of status quo? And we might, maybe there's an image of a woman, right, who is maybe dressed very provocatively, lacking reverence and things of this nature, and everybody has their eyes on her. That's how you start the art piece, right? That's how the story begins. Very provocative. Everybody has their eyes on her. And then the next scene, we see that like within all of the men who are consuming that, there's an emptiness. So that's how we subvert the idea. And we can use story to address the idea of lust. I'm gonna give examples because saying it with just words is very difficult. Yeah, I had to give examples. I just realized that. So we'll get into the examples now. Close this out. So we're gonna talk about one of my first, or not one of my first, but this is just the first one I chose to play, and we're gonna dissect it and have some fun. Okay, boom. This is short form content. This was used on Instagram, and we're gonna run it. How do I make this big? It don't even need to be big. Okay. Okay, I'm getting no audio, and this joint is not playing. Okay. So we'll choose another one for now to keep speed. See if this one plays. Okay, bet. Okay, this one is playing. Oh. Okay, I'm getting no audio on this. Is this plugged in? You got me on the audio? You're right. I'm muted. That's crazy. Okay, cool. This one is a bit. It's not as subtle as I like to be, because there's beauty and subtlety. It's like sleight of hand, but check it out. Okay, so this obviously this can be appeared as very brutal, but we'll play it again. We'll go scene by scene. So we have a person praying to an idol here. We got somebody walking up with a bat, and they break the idol, right? So this is both controversial and edgy, because there's a large percentage of believers who are still belong to the Catholic side of things, who are believing in idols for their salvation. Now, we might not want to talk about that, but it's a lot of folks who literally not relying on Jesus for their salvation. They're relying on statues, right? So this is how us as artists, if you say that to somebody, if you pull somebody to the side, yo, bro, that idol stuff, that's not cool, da da da. They're not trying to hear that. But you put into some art and it hits different. And again, that's how the world uses art. The world uses art to manipulate. They manipulate the younger generation. I did some statistics. There was like a 60% increase in homicide amongst teens from 2014 to 2021. And we have to address the music that's popularized in our communities. And what does it popularize? It popularizes murder, right? So the enemy in the secular realm uses art to teach the wrong things. But how about if we use art to correct the falsehood that the enemy has put into the church and into the people? You know what I'm saying? Okay. Let me see if I can get this next one to play so we can break it down.
They not like us.
Okay, so this is lagging. Basically, this is a great image for it to stop on, though, because this is actually the cover for the image. So basically, this isn't playing. This is a video, but there's something wrong with it. This is what happens. This little monster here with all this trash and with all these welts on it, Coming from the World is this hit song, this new Kendrick song that came out as top song. Your kids heard it. Everybody who got TikTok and Instagram heard it. Everybody in this room, if you ain't heard it, somebody younger than you heard it. And it's all about, it's like blasphemous, it's full of hatred, and this is at the top of pop culture, right? So what I did is I took the cover art of that song, and this little monster's eating it. So they see that this little monster full of trash and nastiness eating it, and then next I put the little nasty monster eating the Pornhub thing. And what I'm showing people is that, because what I saw is so many believers who are consuming and even popularizing these wicked songs, but then I'm showing them is the same poison that you're ingesting from the song is the same poison you're getting from pornography. So this was actually a critique against the church and not a critique against the world, because you can use art to correct the believers around you. And sometimes you can't tell them, yo, bro, stop listening to that music, but you can show them what they look like when they listening to it. You know what I'm saying? So that's how we do that. Okay, this next one. This one might ruffle some feathers. Okay, let's see if I can get it to play. Okay, we're gonna run that back. Let's run it back. Want that one more time. Okay, so I've never explained these, by the way. So like, the reason I never explain them is because like people don't like it when you explain them. Because like, again, the art just hits better with no explanation, right? And it's not as like, you're not saying nothing to me. It's a person. Let me pause. Let me run it through. Where we at? We'll play one more time. Pause it. Oh. Okay, so you have this character. He kind of looked like Kids Next Door, right? Candy. Okay, so he's holding up the money and he's holding up the cross and it says tithe in the back. Anybody have any theories of what that might be associated with? Prosperity, right. There's many people, again, a criticism against the church, not against Christ, but against a false doctrine that has crept into the church, which is that your life will be full of financial abundance when you come to Jesus, and if it isn't, you're cursed, which people teach that. And they also teach that, for example, all sorts, you should hear the stuff. I mean, y'all been online, y'all seen it. If you've been right, you done seen it, right? Anyways, it's people who are preaching money, and it actually appears in Jude, where people will lose their sense of the faith and instead preach doctrines of greed, right? Then, so bro, everybody clap for him in the crowd. You hear the sound effects. Then when you go like behind the scenes, he got this creepy smile on his face, and it's all money behind him. Nonetheless, y'all see what it is. I mean, it's the same thing as the last pieces of art that I've shown y'all. It's just a criticism of an idea, because God's truth. I'm not saying money's bad. But God's truth is you do not distort the gospel for the sake of greed. Right? God's truth is that you don't pray to no idols. God's truth is that this music is poisonous. And when you see people who believe a lie, why don't you make some art that might provoke their thought? And it might be more impactful as you saying something. Now, I don't want to undermine communication, because faith comes by hearing about the word of God. I'm not saying all you do is make art, because if you ain't, but I will say that maybe that's our role. Maybe there is an evangelist. Maybe there is the preachers. But what about the artists? And what did they play in the lives of the believers in both the defense, meaning edifying work? And I'm be honest, a lot of my work is more on the offense than it is on the defense. I'm be honest. But there is artists who make great edifying work for the body, where you see it, you experience it, whatever medium it might be, and say, yo, I just love the Lord so much more after seeing this. Like it resonated with me in a different way. Y'all ever seen a movie and y'all cried? Like y'all just realized something different? Like, because there's power in art. And we know that because Jesus taught in parables. And his disciples are like, why you keep preaching in parables? It says in Isaiah, it says in Ezekiel, talks about the power of parables, the power of story. And that's what these little reels are here, right? These videos are little short stories, short nuggets that pull from pop culture, which, we could talk about the power of pop culture and the influence of pop culture, but it pulls from all these areas. I lost my train of thought. We're just gonna keep running it. Okay. No idols are great. Okay, cool. So that was really like my speech part of this, in terms of just like, okay, now y'all go make art and make everybody mad around you. No, I'm joking. Don't do that. But now I'm gonna just get into my collaborative projects, because this is my personal art. This is what I do on social media, and just in regards to those things. But I'm actually more people probably know me for my collaborative work and what I've done with musical artists. So we will now get into that. So, not unfortunately, but working collaboratively with artists is much different than personal work, because you're taking your gifts, you're taking your skills, you're taking your ideas, and you're combining them with the ideas of another person. And there's skill in that, because you have to empty yourself. I might want to be all controversial and rub people the wrong way and teach a certain message. And somebody might say, yo, but like, what if we made people feel like at peace? And that's what Hulvey did. I don't know if y'all know about Hulvey, but Hulvey hit me, and we made an animated music video together. And I'm gonna show that to y'all now. This joint was all inspired by just like, trying to look in the back. Okay. Our thoughts going into this project. This is Hulvey. He's a Christian artist. Great guy. He has a lot of songs with Forrest Frank. Most of y'all probably done heard about Forrest Frank. And he has songs with him. Great guy, cool guy. I'm not going to explain his biography. Nonetheless, going into it, he contacted me. He says, yo, you seen them lo-fi aesthetic videos? He says, we need that. We need the people to relax, to chill. So I came to him with a really, some might say bad idea. I said, yo, what if we made a story with no plot? Like, I'm making all these plot heavy stories, all these like, yo, we about to change the world, but it's like, yo, what if we just make a story for people to relax and just like watch and vibe? So that's what we're about to do. Honestly, I didn't know how much I was gonna play it at, but it's a vibe, right? It's a vibe. It's cool. It's a good time, right? It's a good time. You can't go wrong. Okay, boom. So that's what we did with Hulvey. That's one collaboration. Now, okay, so that is I technically a multidisciplinary artist, meaning I don't believe in confining yourself to a medium, because if you have a creative mind, you're beneficial to people in all areas, right? Because creativity, there's a technical ability in terms of, oh, I know how to use this software. Oh, I know how to use this paintbrush. Or, oh, I know composition. I know how to use this software. Knowing how technique does not technique is not sufficient for beauty. You need a great idea. So good ideas apply themselves to all sorts of disciplines. Now I did this video. This one is story heavy, and shoot, I think this one is really dope. Probably, I would say my best live action music video in terms of like my personal preference. So we gonna play that now. And this one is in Spanish, unfortunately. Um, I'm guessing a lot of y'all don't know Spanish. It's just my guess. Yeah, okay. Let's run this up. I will say though that cinematography, there's a lot of beautiful aspects to this, even if you don't know the lyrics. And let's run it. Okay, I'm not gonna play the whole thing. Sometimes I don't know how long is too long, and this is supposed to be talking, not watching videos. Okay, so I want to talk about one shot from this, because it's like, okay, we're talking about art, the story, we're talking about the story here. We sort of talked about animation. We didn't get into the technicalities of animation, but let's just talk about a technical edit for a second, right? We're talking about art here. Everybody artists. Editing is artistic, so we're just gonna top it up. So I forget what this edit is actually called, but I really like this scene right here.
Okay, amor pa' mi enemy, yo mantengo el energy, ando enfocado, eso ya de lejos yo lo vi, no para adorar, si no se me va la memoria, yo no bebo.
It was that one. Car driving scenes, by the way, very easy to edit. Is you put the car rig on the front of the car, and there's two different shots going on. There's the regular driving scene, which is sped up, and then there's the scene of them performing the song. So you cut them and then overlay them. So really, I just confused myself by saying that, but that's how it works, right? Okay, boom. So we talked about music videos. I just did Keep It 100 with Caleb. I don't know if y'all are familiar with Caleb Gordon, but I've shot most of his music videos at this point. And we just put out this one called Keep It 100, literally a couple days ago. And this one I feel like is motivational, because people really like the video, and this is like a $600 video. We were together one day, and we're like, yo, let's shoot a video, and it's literally carried by the edits. There's like 2 locations in this thing. We'll play it for a little bit. Random moments in here. But while I was watching this, it made me think about something. As an artist, when you do collaborations with people who work in different disciplines, in one sense, you come out of the realm of, oh, I'm about to tell this story. Oh, I'm about to change this. Oh, I'm about to do that. And sometimes you fall into a support or an assistance role, because the lyrics of the song, if you were to put them down on paper, are extremely in line with scripture, in line with the will of God, and in line with God's truth. But the art and the editing, it's like my editing doesn't necessarily, quote unquote, in its own glorify God. It's like, it's editing. It's just high energy. It's good pivots, right? But sometimes you can play an assistant role to get the message across. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to also, as a Christian artist, I learned, be willing to play a role. Nonetheless, we're going to move this to the side. Move this to the side. Okay. I'm going to get into some cover artwork. Cool, dude. Okay, I put it on the wrong screen. Have any of y'all seen this cover before? Okay, y'all know this cover? Okay, boom. I figured this would be a good one to talk about because it's probably the most popular cover I've done. This is a cover art for Before the Garden 5. We're talking about being multidisciplinary, using art as a weapon. Now we're in the part of the talk where I'm just talking about playing a support role. And one of the support roles I play is creating cover arts. You know, every time you listen to a song, it got a little piece of art on top of it. So this art here is called Before the Garden. I'm like, okay, Before the Garden. You know, he tells me, you know, this is what the song is called. That I'm like, okay, what's before the garden? Okay, you got water before the garden. So to make a long story short, and not to over like intellectualize it, it's the hand of God coming out with some water. You know what I'm saying? But it looks cool, right? This one I did for an artist called Afterthought. Anybody know Afterthought? No? Underground punk artist. Super influential, especially on TikTok and within like the Y2K younger generation. People who feel like outsiders, et cetera, et cetera. We took a PlayStation 1 aesthetic with the high glare, high flares, almost like Valhalla of Nights. And if you had a PSP when you were younger, you know what I'm talking about. It's for a particular group of people, right? This is niche art, but again, wonderful. And I would say that a lot of this stuff I'm showing y'all, you would be surprised how rare it is within Christian art. Like, it seems like we're just now like hitting the streets, you know what I'm saying? In terms of art, like, of course, evangelism has already been over, but like in terms of projects like this, you know, just showing up to anybody on Apple is really a rarity. Just working on that one. I did this one for Caleb, one of his projects, South Side of the Garden. That's inspired by Virgil Abloh. Anybody? Virgil Abloh? Oh, anybody? Yeah, Virgil. Yeah, Off-White. Okay, inspired by Virgil Abloh. Just a great piece, right? South Side of the Garden. Just the idea of like what the Garden of Eden would like with all of our gifts in action. Like, obviously, you got the studio set up. And this is, again, playing the assistance role as an artist to allow others to shine. Now, I'm going to just leave this up here and I'm going to talk about some other things, which is the equation. Let me bring that. I'll just talk about the equation. The equation was from the beginning, God's truth plus God's spirit equals cure. And we talked about how we can use art to communicate God's truth and to also to take the wrong ideas, take the evil ideas, subvert them, pull them down from where they are, bringing all arguments under the truth of God, and then how we can push the true ideas of God, the true beliefs of God, down to the simplest levels, to how we should treat one another, all the way up to how a civilization should treat its people from bottom to top. But within that, with God's truth plus God's spirit equals cure, we have to know that living God's truth plus living in God's spirit is a very hard thing to do. But that's the goal, because you don't just want to communicate God's truth. You want to live God's truth. It's people with a lot to say and not a lot of fruit to give, not a lot of fruit to bear. So also as artists, we don't really have a lot of accountability oftentimes. You don't have people like, yo, are you living right, da-da-da. We have a personal responsibility to put accountability around us. But as artists, and as you put out art, and if you are a person who wants to sort of critique the evil ideas that the secular world and that Satan has put out, also consider the fact that you had to live God's truth as you teach it. And that's all, y'all. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys found this valuable, please be sure to support the creators. Their information can be found in the description box below. And if you're interested, we have our TRNSCND 2025 Fredericksburg, Virginia ticket pre-sale going on right now. Tickets now are half off for $10, but eventually as we get closer to the date, they will go back up to $20. So be sure to get your ticket today so you can save some money and be at TRNSCND. All right, thank you guys again. Peace.